Hi, welcome to Radiant PT, where we discuss all things pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum. I'm Caitlin Sue, a doctor of physical therapy specializing in pelvic health. Today, we're diving into cycle syncing, which has been all the rage on TikTok for the past couple of months. On one side, you have people saying, yes, this is life-changing. How come nobody told me that I'm not supposed to be working out like a man? On the other side, you have people saying that there's no real data to support differences in performance between the different phases of our cycles, or that there's no way that your results are going to be better if you just take half the month off. So what's the deal? Personally, I'm a believer. I think that as much as we don't know, there is a lot that we do know. So if you're interested, go ahead and hit like and let's dive in. So let's get just a little woo-woo first before we get into the science. Traditionally, it's said that before we had indoor lighting and hormone disruptors all over us and everything we touch, most women cycled with the moon. They ovulated around the full moon and bled around the new moon. It's said that the wiser women of the past would honor that cycle and live their life based on the way that they felt. During the follicular phase, they would set intentions and get to work. As they approached ovulation, they would be hustling and they'd be really social. The luteal phase would bring more creativity, sensitivity, and more desire to be secluded. And menstruation gives opportunity to pause, rest, and reflect. Now, today, we live in a patriarchal or male-centric society, which is designed for a male's 24-hour hormone cycle. Their sex hormone cycles, although they look similar from day to day, they actually fluctuate wildly throughout the day. Anything from being around their children to their favorite sports team winning or losing. Even being in the presence of a gun can cause huge fluctuations in their levels of testosterone. Yet somehow we're considered the hormonal ones. Our sex hormones actually follow a super predictable pattern over approximately 28 days. So cycle syncing is the practice of designing your life, or more specifically, you're exercising differently depending on which phase of your cycle that you're in. So is this legit? Well, the research is definitely still in its infancy. In fact, due to long-term serious gender bias, most research on exercise hasn't been on women at all until very recently. However, when you look at the entire landscape of our knowledge on this topic, I believe it's very convincing. First, we have the basic physiology of what happens during our ovulatory cycle and what we know that our sex hormones do in our body. This is the kind of stuff that's common knowledge. It's what you'll see in a textbook. Then we can look at the more recent studies that do exist and even at some animal studies and other promising areas of research. While we can't rely on those alone, it's part of a greater picture. So here's some of the things that we do know. During the follicular phase, or after you stop bleeding up until ovulation, estrogen is rising. Estrogen receptors are found throughout the entire body and brain. This hormone affects how we feel and how we behave, with a goal of getting us to try to mate in time for ovulation. Estrogen binds with receptors in the arousal centers of our brain and causes us to increase our energy expenditure so that we can have more physical activity coordinated with the peak of our sexual receptivity. Estrogen also has an anabolic effect on muscle, tendon, and bone, meaning that it increases muscle synthesis. Estrogen also prevents your blood pressure from dropping after you exercise and increases activation of satellite cells in the muscle, which may mean that you're able to recover faster and more effectively after a workout. Just before ovulation, we also get a little hit of testosterone that also increases our energy, motivation, and performance. So during this part of our cycle, it makes sense that we're going to want to hit it hard. This is when you'll want to do your most intense exercise. You'll get both a better muscle response during your workout and a better recovery after. Now, as soon as you ovulate, estrogen is going to start to drop and progesterone is going to spike. Progesterone increases your body temperature, your heart rate, and your respiratory rate. Therefore, this can decrease your tolerance for higher intensity exercises somewhat. The data is pretty mixed on how progesterone impacts fatigability, but in general, more moderate, steady state exercise is going to be safest. When you hit menstruation, all the hormones are low. Research shows that you're going to have lower energy, maybe even some anemia-related fatigue from blood loss, and a greater rate of perceived exertion, meaning that the same intensity of exercise is going to feel more intense to you. So like I always say, evidence-based care means that you're incorporating your own experience into your choices as well. We don't necessarily need a study that tells us that we're going to be tired and bloated and not perform as well when we're on our period, or that our energy and motivation is a lot higher when we're ovulating. We just need to start listening to our bodies. Your body, your intuition, your experience matters here. I've been dabbling in cycle syncing for about 7 years now, and only really started to get serious about it in the past year or so since my daughter was born. I have to say, I love it. Is it proven in black and white to absolutely work better? No, probably not. But what does work better even mean? Is your goal to compete in powerlifting or in a figure competition? If it is, then yeah, we probably need to wait for some more research to see if this is the best approach. But for me and my goals, which are 1, to strengthen my body for a future pregnancy, 2, to do workouts that feel good, and 3, to avoid creating excess stress in my system, which can also impact my fertility going forward, this works. It works for me, and my clients love it too. If you want to learn more and see exactly how to exercise in each phase of your cycle, I just created a free guide to give you all the info. I will link it in the description box below. Please check it out. I can't wait to hear what you think. There is so much to learn about our bodies that should be common knowledge, but we just aren't being told. I have a lot more content coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks about hormones, ovulatory cycles, fertility, and preparing for pregnancy. So make sure to hit subscribe if you're as jazzed up about this stuff as I am. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon.